The S2M preferences, much like in CabinetVision, is where we can set up the S2M Center to work for your business needs. We'll go through pretty much all the preferences, however some of them might not make sense to you entirely to start with. But don't worry, as we go through the rest of this course, as those things come up, we'll refer back to this preference menu. So if you're not 100% sure what something is, just remember where it was and we'll definitely be coming back to it. You can access the preference menu the same way you access it from CabinetVision, by selecting the File button from the Quick Access toolbar and selecting Preferences. Even though this is the same place you would select the CV preferences, you'll notice the dialog box looks very different. This is because S2M is its own program that is accessed through the S2M tab, not actually just a different section within CabinetVision. You will notice this as well as when I select the Help icon from within S2M Center as well. You can see here it has opened up an S2M specific help menu, not the standard CabinetVision one you would have already seen. Moving back to Preferences, you will see the tabs across the top and the section beneath it, just like the preferences in CabinetVision. In the General tab, you won't need to worry about the AlphaCam module selection, however you'll see three options below that. Show parts not set for optimization or output. This option allows you to turn on the capability to control whether a part is set to no optimize or no CNC, and if that can be overridden. Doing this will turn on a right-click menu option within the parts list that we'll have a bit of a look at later on. One-click Optimize to Pattern Results will let you select if you want the program to go straight to the pattern view when you select Nest. This will bypass any warnings that the S2M Center may give you. However, errors will stop the process. We'll cover more on errors and warnings later on. However, for now, I would suggest that you leave this unticked, as it's best practice to check those warnings and errors might be. Finally, the Use Radial menu option lets you choose between the radial menu, pictured here, and the standard layout when using your right-click selections. The Tool Warnings tab is where we can turn on and off what warnings in S2M we want to show when running our Nest. We'll cover these more in depth later. The Geometry tab has a lot of options, so for now we'll just have a look at some of the most commonly used ones. Extend dado lengths and extend single pass dado lengths by tool diameter will affect any dados you have added to your parts. It will extend the operations by the tool diameter at each end to ensure the size you selected is the square size and the tool radius is outside of this dimension. While first learning the program, I would suggest having these set to false, as they can, in some cases, produce results you may not expect. Combining edge operations with part outlines means if you have an operation that is a through cut that intersects the edge of your part, it will be added into the outline and not handled as its own route. Combine boring to through boring will make sure that if you have two holes that meet in the middle, based on their depth, that it will drill once and not have to try and drill from both sides of the part. Closed grain matching gaps larger than will determine at what point S2M will ignore the space between two grained parts. You can see in this example, if I grain match this wall cabinet and the drawer cabinet below it, they will lay out on the sheet exactly as they are on the job. Turning this option on and setting my size to 50mm means now the larger gap between the overhead and my drawer box is closed up. However, it hasn't closed up the distance left for my reveals. The final option we'll look at on this screen is pre-milling. This is where you can set up CabinetVision to allow for edge banding on the pre-milling setting of your edge bander. The first option is max and means CabinetVision will allow for your edge banding thickness up and to the size that you choose. Fixed, on the other hand, will always take that value into consideration. For example, if you set this value to 1mm with the max setting and use 2mm edging, it would allow for the edge banders to take off 1mm when it works out the part size. The CNC tab is where we can set run numbers, tool substitutions, and options for miters. We'll cover run numbers a bit later, so keep in mind where this option is. The option to allow substituted tools means if you assign a tool to an operation either within Cabinet Vision or S2M that has been turned off, S2M has permission to find a suitable tool to do it itself. Setting automatically create MITRE operations to on and selecting use VBIT tool if angle matches MITRE means you can apply a MITRE to an edge within Cabinet Vision, and S2M will be able to pick it up automatically and apply the correct tooling. The Ordering tab lets you control the optimization order as well as operations. Setting the optimization ordering to none means S2M will just carry on and find the best available fit for all of your parts. Setting this to by cabinet means only one cabinet can appear on each sheet and in order. So as each sheet is machined completely, you'll be able to begin building your cabinets. Using overlap means you can set how many cabinets can appear on each sheet. This will help avoid some waste. Minimizing 6-phase patterns means the program will try to limit how many sheets need to be flipped on the machine for parts when there's operations on both sides. Keep in mind, using any of these options will always result in more waste than setting it to none. Below this, you can change the order that operations will run on your nest. I would advise for now not changing this order, and wait until you spend a bit of time learning and understanding different machining and the way that the order of operations works. The Reports tab lets you select your default nest report, and we'll cover this a bit more in a future lesson. Finally, you can set your measurement preferences, including units and precision, with the Measurements Unit tab here. So spend some time now, go through those settings, and set up what's important to you. Double check your pre-milling, as this is a really important setting, and if you don't do it right, you'll end up with parts that are the wrong size. Just remember, just like in Cabinet Vision, the S2M preferences are per computer and they won't go through with backups. So make sure you do this and set them on each computer as you go.